As a waver, you're told that you need a hard, medium, and soft brush. That this is the perfect trifecta of brushes that will maximize your wolfing and that will get you elite waves as soon as possible. Now, this is true, but this is just not the case for beginners, and I found a better system that works better for beginner wavers and that uses less brushes. My name is Waveman J. I turn beginner wavers into elite wavers. You're clearly interested in that, so scroll down, subscribe, and like the video to become the best waver in your area. Now, the hard, medium, and soft brush thing is great. There's nothing against that. As a waver, especially, if you're an elite waver, you cannot have elite waves without having a hard, medium, and soft brush. They're all very important. However, for beginner wavers, you're not able to maximize the use of the hard brush, which, in my opinion, is the best brush for making the most progress, because the hard brush allows you to wolf longer. And the more you wolf and the more you can control that wolf, the better your waves get overall. But beginner wavers aren't able to wolf for that long. They aren't able to wolf for 8+ weeks because their hair isn't trained, because they haven't had enough time to be able to brush and train their waves. So a lot of the time, what ends up happening is that, yeah, they have a hard, medium, and soft brush if they bought all 3 of them. And then when they get to that 5-6 weeks wolfing, where the medium brush doesn't do enough damage to the hair anymore, and when they start to use the hard brush, they end up like, man, that hurts too much, I can't use a hard brush. So then they have to go back to the medium brush, which isn't getting down to the scalp anymore. This is when elite wavers typically use the medium hard brush around this 5 to 7 week period, depending on the person, the hair texture. This is typically when elite wavers like to use their medium hard brush. But for beginners, a lot of them on their first couple wolf sessions will never get the opportunity to fully utilize a hard brush. So what's the point of getting a hard brush if you can't even use it correctly? So the solution to that is getting a medium hard brush. And along with the medium hard brush, you're gonna need a brush to be able to lay down your hair. So you always also need a soft brush. All you really need is a medium hard brush and a soft brush if you're a beginner. This combo of brushes will allow beginner wavers to wolf for a good amount of time and also be able to lay down their hair with a soft brush. You don't need to spend any extra money on a medium brush because the medium hard brush is similar because the medium hard brush is similar enough to the medium brush where it's not going to hurt your scalp if you use it when you're 4 weeks wolfing, but also it's hard enough to be able to get into those deeper wolfing stages where you're at the point where you're going to cut off your wolf because you can't wolf for that long as a beginner waver. And the soft brush will always be an essential brush. The only time you don't use a soft brush is if you're doing a wash style, because then it would actually be detrimental to your waves. But if you're a beginner waver, I recommend just buying a medium hard brush and a soft brush. This is the absolute best bang for your buck combo you can possibly buy as a beginner waver. It will allow you to wolf, and it will allow you to lay down your hair and maximize progress without the need of getting a hard brush. Now, on your second or third wolf session, that is when you need to get a hard brush. You want to progressively overload your wolf sessions. So let's say the first time you're ever getting waves on your first ever wolf session, you go ahead and wolf for 5 weeks, right? You want to cut that down to your curl length. To me, that's a 2 with the grain. And then you want to go ahead and wolf for an extra 1 or 2 weeks. So your first wolf session, 5 weeks, you end that 5 weeks using a medium hard brush. Then that second wolf session, you go for 6 weeks. For most hair textures, you can continue using that medium hard brush. But for your third wolf session, you're gonna need to get a hard brush, because then you can go for 7-8+ weeks because your hair would be trained enough if you're putting in the work. Now, for beginners, it's important to know the difference between a hard, medium, and soft brush. So to understand when you use all 3 of these brushes and how you fully utilize them to make the most progress, watch this video right here. Thanks for watching. God bless.